Welcome back to the Sexy Business Podcast. I am Spooky Dangerous of THM Studios, and joined with me is my co-host Lewd Neko.
Hey.
And today we want to talk about the marketing genius of BishoujoMom. BishoujoMom is arguably one of the most well-known cosplayer turned adult content creator. And I've spent some time today going through and drilling into some of the things that she's been doing that's made her a big success. But there's a lot of other content creators that we want to talk about as well at the same time, because there's a lot of people killing the game right now. And we want to kind of distill what tips and tricks and stuff like that that they are doing that you at home could be doing as well. Now, I think the first place to start is with the big bad, the scary, the demonetized word, the OnlyFans. Blah, blah. We just got adult restricted, whatever. So the first thing that is, I don't know if you as a listener have looked at or understand how OnlyFans work, but it is a monthly subscription service where each month you'll sign up for a 30-day period or whatever it is specifically from when you signed up.
It's Patreon for boobs.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And when you sign up, you are there for a period of time, and whatever content comes out is unlocked for you, and all of the back catalog is unlocked for you. But the main way to understand how this works as your potential customers is that they will come in and they will consume as much of the content as interests them. And if there is not a lot there, then they will not stay subscribed. They will bounce out and they'll maybe come back later to see if there's more, if you've released a whole bunch of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then how long they wait is how much they're gambling or expecting how much is going to be made in that time. And so that creates this monthly cycle where you need to make sure that you're having stuff come out regularly. And you can see that with THM Studios because we've got stuff on the first, third, and last Monday of every month where we have a game update. So because of this cycle, you will see creators like this will have regular content scheduled and planned in advance and made and put together so that it comes out regularly in these times. And just in March, we've got BishoujoMom's catalog, right? We've got a Bowsette set. We've got a lingerie set. Lady Dimitrescu comes back. Crystal the Fox with a full body paint thing. A Rouge the Bat collab with several other creators. And we should get back into collabs a bit later. And then an engagement bait post, which I thought was hilarious because somebody was hassling her for having an enhanced chest. And then she posted photos of what she was like beforehand where they're still very large. And basically clowned on this guy in the replies, which was great. All of these things that is just from the Twitter posting, but the full set or whatever is then available on the OnlyFans so that you know what content is coming out and you might want to go, oh, I need to see more of this. You come in and you check it out. And each one of these things increases the back catalog, but is also a marketing asset that will drag users to come back and join the cycle and stay as a subscriber.
Yeah, now, and I mean, you even see that in like a lot of safe for work cosplayers.
Yes.
A lot of the name of the game is staying as relevant as possible, which I think is the biggest thing I've noticed change about the cosplay community. Because I've been cosplaying since I was like 12, like in 2012. And this is when cosplay was starting to become a little bit more common because more people were selling cosplays online. Whereas like in the 2000s, you kind of had to make your own cosplay. Like there really wasn't many places you could get one. And so
exactly.
A lot of people would just choose like whatever their favorite character was. So you'd see characters from 90s animes walking around because someone just really liked that one particular show. Whereas if you go to cons nowadays, it's a lot more based around like, okay, what's the current seasonal favorite? Who are the current waifus? What's the meme cosplay that's going around right now?
What Genshin character can I dress up as with only a Wish purchase?
Yeah, Genshin's just eternal. To me, they've replaced the Danganronpa cosplayers, where there was always like a horde of Danganronpa cosplayers, like in the 2010s, and now there's always a horde of Genshin Impact cosplayers in the 2020s. But you see it a lot on Instagram and TikTok, where people are constantly having to create new cosplays or buy new ones so they can stay relevant with the waifu of the week, because she might only be relevant for maybe less than like 4 weeks.
But yeah, I think this is the cosplay one. I think is very interesting because a lot of cosplay creators turn to adult content as a way to monetize what they do. Very few other creators were able to go in a different direction. I think Yaya Han is a great example because she's got like a cosplay workshop thing and has like patterns for sale and stuff like that and tutorials, I think, from memory.
Yeah, I actually own a pair of like My Little Pony ears and a unicorn horn from her.
Oh, there you go. And Hench Wrench is one that like works with Weta Workshop and does a lot of that kind of stuff. And then they also have like the conference appearances and stuff like that to try and make sure that they're still relevant is a shit word for it, but constantly engaging with the customer base is probably a better way of putting it. Which kind of leads us into our next bit, right? Which is user retention. Because once you've engaged with a customer, let's say that you work and you sell wrenches or tools, right? Once somebody has purchased this thing for you that accomplishes a job, they're not going to need another one. The difference between the adult content is that most guys, and absolutely not speaking for myself here, will beat their shit many times a day and have a gigantic thirst for content. So when you are putting out a lot of stuff, or you're able to have some kind of assurance to them that your content is going to solve that problem, then they are going to be much more likely to engage with you. And the more often that you are competing against so many of the other people that are creating content, and the more you show up, and the larger your posts and stuff go. Because a lot of BishoujoMom posts on Twitter go really big, and perhaps we'll get into specifically why that is in a little bit. But if you have a lot of content, and a lot of posts, and a lot of stuff happening, when you're and your back catalog growing and stuff like that as well, when people engage with that, they are more likely to come back. So if you've had someone that came in for the first month, they saw all of this stuff, and then since that time they've gone, wow, I've seen so many other posts on this kind of stuff that I've missed out on. Oh no, I need to go and come back. I need to resubscribe. I need to see what this new stuff is.
Yeah, even as someone who, so I've never done any like subscription, I don't have an OnlyFans. I don't post like, lewd videos of myself or anything like that. Partially because I enjoy just sort of remaining as a virtual, and partially because I think it would take a lot of the fun out of it for me, because I primarily do this as a hobby, and I know how much work it is to have a monthly subscription. You have to have a lot of dedication, you have to have a lot of scheduling, you got to be really consistent. And, if any of you in the audience who have been self-employed in any way, shape, or form, it's both a gift and a curse. Because on one hand, you don't have a boss. On the other hand, you don't have a boss. So there's nobody to tell you, hey, this is due on Friday, and if you don't do it, I'll fucking fire you. It's, hey, I need to get this set out by Friday, and if I don't do it, I might lose a lot of my subscribers.
And it's also that there is no one guy that hands you all of the money you receive. You're instead hoping that thousands of people give you $1 a week.
Yeah, or I think typically, especially for I only do camming. Usually it's like most of your follower base either won't donate at all or will donate very small amounts, and then you're trying to hook what are known as whales, the people who really like you and really do want to spend on those like higher tiers if you have an OnlyFans, or who are going to really support you in a consistent way. And I mean, it's the same thing on Twitch. Most people are only going to buy the subscription, but you're counting on the guy who's going to send you that random like $500 tip or whatever and make your day.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so a lot of the time you are trying to be really customer focused and thinking about what your customer base and stuff like that is. And that does also kind of lead us into the next point where we're talking about niches. Yeah, on this podcast, we've already talked about niches quite a lot. We just recorded a furry podcast episode where people are really into this one type of content, right?
And there are furry porn stars.
That's true. And a lot of furry cosplayers as well. And even BishoujoMom did one recently, which was Crystal from the Star Fox series, which is probably one of the first furry, really big waifus on the timeline for sure. And so being able to create content of a lot of these characters that a lot of other people aren't doing, because BishoujoMom started off being every cartoon mum And like a lot of ones that you would just have probably never heard of, or like she did Danny Phantom's mum, and you're like, is this really someone was supposed to be on my radar?
She wears a skin tight bodysuit in that show.
Yeah, right. Like all this stuff that you would maybe have never conceived of up until she's created a sexy version of it, and you go, oh, maybe I need to, re-engage this, or oh, I remember how hot this character was. And then once she's dominated that niche of being known as the hot MILF, then she's started to diversify and doing a lot of other weird and different stuff. Like she's got, and just recently, right? The Grinch, Yoshi, characters from Transformers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, doing a lot of body paint and like big prop work and stuff like that. Because now she's trying to find other niches of people to come and connect with that content.
I just totally thought of this. I didn't even think about this when we were having like our pre chat, but I think it also echoes a lot of how like the ASMR market works on YouTube, because I watch a lot of ASMR, specifically cosplay ASMR. One of my favorites right now is, her name is Agelia ASMR, and she does a lot of cosplays, and she's always coming up with new characters, and she's like done some really nice Lady Dimitrescu ones, like hour-long ASMR
Classic.
videos. And what I like is she includes a lot of like lore in her videos, where like you can tell she's actually played and enjoyed these games, because she's talking about certain things that you would only like know, like, oh, you actually had a basic understanding of like what goes on in that game. And I think that's one way that cosplay has developed a niche, because I remember growing up, I watched a lot of Japanese cosplay porn, because I really liked how it included oftentimes like storylines, or like how the girls would try to stay in character, and so it was like, oh, that's my waifu, and that was like a really big appeal for me.
That's cool. I think that's definitely something that Western porn does a shit job of. Because a lot of the content that, like, even if you just look at JAV versus something like your regular X
Have you
videos
ever
feed,
seen Wooden Rocket?
I have. It's like an interview series on YouTube, right?
So they're a porn company, and did you ever see like that SpongeBob porno that like everyone was memeing about?
Yeah.
They're responsible for that. They also did like that Pokemon one with the really fucked up looking Pikachu.
Yeah.
So like they do like a lot of like cosplay parody, but it's like very tongue in cheek. I feel like a lot of Western porn is too afraid to like take itself like not even seriously, but to try to like actually care about the source material.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely that, but I also feel like there's a paid model problem, right? Because with the JAV stuff, you're usually buying a DVD type content, and every video rip that you find online is hours long, and you're skipping through to find where you actually care about. If you're looking at something like Pornhub or X videos, all the stuff that you find is like under 10 minutes. It's a series of just the impact scenes cut together, and then there's like no introduction, there's no story, there's nothing actually there.
They even have the shorts now if you have less of an attention span.
Quickies, I think they're called on X videos.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly, right? Where you just watch this looping GIF instead of actually following a narrative of what's happening. So I think that is also a thing, right? Where if you are able to connect to someone's interest with this character, if you are able to engage with the story, then that is something that video games is always going to do much better than a video, because you as the user are able to control whether you're engaging with the lore, whether you're speedrunning boobs percent, whether you're trying to get a mastery over the universe and its people, or meet and talk to every character or whatever.
Yeah, I remember talking to someone IRL about like porn games, and I was talking about like, oh, I really enjoyed the story and character, and they were like, wait, you actually read that?
That's right, I have Playboy magazines for the articles.
I'm here for the plot and nothing else. I skip through the porn scenes.
I mean, some of the stuff has good writing. We were just talking before about how Amoris had fantastic writing in it about stuff that wasn't necessarily specifically porn related.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like when, bringing it back to like OnlyFans and stuff like that, that's something I've seen a lot of girls try to take advantage of, is like, really getting into developing the characters that they roleplay as. And, if you go on somewhere like ManyVids, which is more designed where you buy like single videos at a time. Some of them have like subscription clubs, you can get all their videos for one price, but a lot of them will be like, you pay $10 for a 20-minute video, or something like that. A lot of those, from what I've seen, really get into like the role play and the character aspect and really connecting oftentimes with the viewer. A lot of it's going to be POV, like, and it can be anything from like mommy dom taking care of you to, femdom calling you a dirty little pig and, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And then while we're talking about content, that does bring us onto our next piece, because another one of the things that I think a lot of these creators do really well is they follow trends. And it's much less like the circulating meme that's happening, and it's more the greater discussion or the flow of what's hitting the timeline. Because if you've seen the same thing pop up several times and you add to that discussion every time that thing pops up for everybody, you might also show up at the same time. And the easiest one that I found was the Japanese McDonald's ad about how they're feeding fries to the kid, and it does the cute little dance. Where there was heaps of art of people drawing this in adult ways, even though it's like deeply not a sexy thing in its concept. People doing sexy cosplays of the characters, people adding adult scenes and story and lore to this 30-second clip of people eating McDonald's.
Or like when Wendy's started becoming sassy. I mean, this was like years ago, but she suddenly became a waifu overnight. Of like, oh, she's the bratty, Wendy's mascot.
And then people were making fan art of that. People were doing cosplays of this character and adding to it and getting on board with the hot and happening thing that people were talking about.
Or I mean, like Bowsette was originally a meme character.
Yeah, exactly. And it's become such a big character now.
Yeah, and even now I still see a lot of her at conventions. You got the Chompettes and the Boozettes and all the other characters.
Yeah, exactly. And I see a lot of creators that do use, I don't know, this kind of formula or whatever, where they'll either make something bespoke for the current trend, or if it's something that has come around again, or it's like, oh, there's a remake of this game coming out, or there's a new, in this title in this series, or this thing that is like tangentially related to something I've already done, people will post a thing and go, remember this? I remember one where the Velma series came out, and everyone was like, oh my god, this thing is horrible. And BishoujoMom posted her Velma cosplay and was like, watching this would be way better than the cartoon, or something like that. So you're engaging, with the discussion. You're adding something that is content for people to go and explore and watch.
Yeah.
And being part of the conversation.
That's the benefit of like those sort of, classic characters. Like I think Harley Quinn is another really big one, because she's got the multiple variations. Like, if you like the like sort of spandex bodysuit version of her, or do you like the sexy new modern version of her? I've seen a lot of cosplayers, ASMR artists, porn stars, whatever, do like character stuff of her, and then every time a new Harley Quinn show comes out or a new movie, and there's been so many lately, they can just post that again, because now new people are going to be into that character.
That's it. You get to rinse the marketing cycle for Warner Brothers' latest product or whatever, and jump on the back of that. And a lot of it is just about being at the forefront of the discourse. And I think Morgpie really deserves to be talked about on this topic, because lately Morgpie has been solely responsible for a lot of the changes in the Twitch terms of service. And before Morgpie, Amaranth kind of did the same thing, right? Where Amaranth coined the hot tub stream, which then became its whole own category instead of just being just chatting. And then Amaranth was doing ASMR stuff, and it became its whole own category. And then Morgpie did something where she was wearing a tube top, but the camera cut just before where the fabric was, so it looked like that she was topless. And then Twitch was like, no, do not do this. And then most recently, she streamed Fortnite using her ass as a green screen.
Yeah.
And Twitch was like, look, come on, now you're just being cheeky. And
literally,
all of these things, it's like there's a streamer joke where it's like, oh, you get banned and then you come back 5 days later, twice as popular. And it's the same kind of thing, because the old idiom, all news is good news. where you can keep your name out there and people looking at you. And especially in the adult content industry, like you will find that, I believe there was the statistics that like in the deepest, most Republican states in America has the highest search results for trans porn, because it's like no matter how publicly angry and aggressive and hateful they are about these things, they're still clicking on those videos in the privacy of their own home at night. And it's kind of the same thing, right?
I think Belle Delphine would also be a good example, even
Absolutely.
though I don't think she really does much anymore. But like her entire brand was based around, oh, you're mad at me because I sold my bathwater and made a bunch of money, and now you're just giving me more attention and views.
Yeah, she just kind of turned into a prank lord, right? Because she started off with the bathwater thing. She did a lot of bait and switch type stuff. Like she released several videos on Pornhub, which were music videos and were not actually pornographic, as like a bait. It's like, oh, my first post on Pornhub, there's like a massive cock in this video, and she's like literally holding a chicken, and silly stuff like that. And she went on to just be a meme lord for some time, and has since started doing adult content and doing regular adult content, because she still has an OnlyFans that's active and she's posting new stuff on there, but she's not super. She's not on that grind to try and engage with the new audience as much, by the looks of things. Is more just trying to keep the subscribers that she has, because I imagine she has a lot. She garnered a lot of popularity, and then kind of popped in and popped out a few times.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's the thing. Like a lot of these creators get that big, what I would say is infamy, this huge fan base of unseen people. Because when you are a big creator, you'll only ever hear from haters and people that want to say negative things about you, because the people that love you never actually communicate that with you. It's always hidden, which sucks, but you have to understand. And I have this problem as well. I've got a lot of negative reviews on my Steam content, but then also I have like 4,000 people playing the game. And it's like, well, 10 people saying it sucks means that there's 3,900 people that are having a great time. So maybe I shouldn't be that concerned about it. But it's the same kind of thing, right? But these angry people posting things online and, posting pictures of you with, running around with Fortnite on your backside. And then you're like, the people that see it and go, actually, this is kind of based, are suddenly new fans for you. They're suddenly converted for you. Not to say that you should go out and manufacture outrage and get people really upset with you, but to be in mind that it's all about the conversation. If people are talking about you, new people are learning about you.
Yeah. And I mean, the advice I always give to people who are thinking of going into either sex work, or even if you're just producing art or something like that, is like, you gotta have a thick skin, honestly. I've known a lot of lewd tubers, or even just regular VTubers, who drop out because they have a lot of insecurities already, and so when you have people telling you it doesn't sound hot when you come, or I don't like that your character design, or I don't think you're funny, I don't think you're entertaining, like all these other things,
if
especially
your partner said this to you, you would break up. If my partner turned to me and says, I don't like your character design, you look mid, I would cry. Saying I don't like the sound that you make when you come, I would cry. Like that. That sounds like a game over thing. Also, it looks like you have died.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Yeah, my internet fucking died for a second. I don't know what's going on tonight. I've never had this problem, but that's how VTubing goes. You're like, this has never happened before, and then it happens.
Technical difficulty. I feel that. But yeah, it is a bit like that.
Okay now.
And it gets exhausting, right? Because especially if you're on one of these monthly subscription things as your main income, like I am with Patreon, then you're beholden to the subscriber. You're beholden to do as much as you can to try and keep them engaged. A lot of the stuff that I've been doing lately is like running polls, and this podcast is another example of that, where I'm creating something that has a dialogue where people can come in and talk to and understand about what's going on and ask questions. We're happy to do AMA type stuff. If you leave questions in the comments, I'll bring them up. We'll talk about it. Because we're always happy to engage with that kind of stuff. The point of this is so that we can be relatively customer facing, because THM has been really not super customer facing. It's been like very much, here's the game, I'm going to shitpost some memes on Twitter. Like we post a lot of femdom and big dick girl memes on Twitter, and it's like, this is really the only engagement that we do, because we're not super public facing. Even now, you're looking at my VTuber avatar, you're not looking at my face, my person. So like this is in itself a step towards becoming more accountable and seeing what we've built and all this kind of stuff. And build that parasocial relationship, so to say, because a lot of creators are doing that, where it's like, oh, I'm a fan of this person makes great content, I follow them as they go. And there's an old marketing advice thing, which is like, to make it, you need to have the village of 1,000 people that support you. But you have to build that whole village. You need to find all these people and get them together, and they need to support you in your endeavors. These days, I think it's like 300 is probably like, you've made it, air quotes. But that's the thing, like, it's all customer facing. You need to have the customers come and follow you along, and they support you, and without that support, you don't exist. You rely on that a lot.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that's changed. We can even think of, like, when you talked about like Zone Time, like she was connected to, a whole website and a network and things like that. Whereas nowadays you can make it on your own, because it's, the market has changed so much, where it's a lot about, following them on Patreon, sending them a coffee, buying their game, buying their subscription, finding the artists that you like, whether they're artists, whether they're cosplayers, whether they're anything else really. And, it's all about us, basically giving the support to the creators we think have earned it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this is part of it as well. Like, if you want, you can find the THM Patreon right in the description, and you can find all of our games that are on there that update every month. You can come and play them. This video is definitely not adult restricted and demonetized for certain. But yeah, I feel like a lot of these kind of discussions are really important, because when you understand, begin to get an understanding of how the marketing machine works and how people use it, and I think the algorithm for Twitter is pretty obvious once you spend time actually thinking about how it comes together and looking at it. And once you start to understand how you need to interact with that and be showing off your stuff and creating marketing assets rather than just like posting the thing that you've made or whatever. A lot of first-time game developers have this problem where they're like, here's the thing of my game, but they've just like not really interacted with anyone, or their entire Twitter is other game developers, and it's like, these are colleagues, not customers. They're not going to be here buying your product. And so you're hoping that they have a customer base, that when they retweet, they're going to see your stuff. So it's kind of like that networking versus customer facing, and networking does help a lot. Like we saw before in the list of stuff that BishoujoMom had done, it includes a collab with 7 other OnlyFans creators where they did the entire Sonic cast of characters. This is a great way for each of them to reach out to their customers and find a way that they overlap and have interest with each other, and maybe you'll get a new fan from somewhere else.
Yeah, and I mean that's true still for like I know like I've done collabs in the past. I haven't done them as much recently just because scheduling is gonna be really hard for like live streaming collabs where you have to both be there. You have to like that.
You've kind of died again.
A lot of like girls will just special be together.
Welcome to low poly Neko.
Oh, did I
Yeah,
no,
you've kind of died.
Yes.
Fortunately, now is a great time to wrap up the episode anyway, as we've kind of reached the end of it. Unfortunately, I will have to cut you off there because you are not actually putting anything out. You've completely fried. But that's okay. We'll have Neko back and working for the next episode, where we're going to talk about more sexy business on the Sexy Business Podcast. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you go and support Neko, her internet can get better and we can have a more consistent show for you to come and watch. So hopefully we'll see you next time.